Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Crystal. We're business coaches and retreat hosts for bold, purpose-driven women who are ready to build businesses that actually fit their lives.
This podcast is for the authentic, rebellious entrepreneur who's done playing by everyone else's rules. We know what works because we've lived it, coached it, and savored the journey.
Join us for real talk on business, life, and everything in between.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I am Wendy Guth. Crystal is off having an awesome spring break time with her family in New Mexico, so she will be back next week. But I am incredibly excited to welcome my guest today, Sarah Noked, and she specializes in helping businesses build operational structure and leadership through online business managers. So we're going to unpack what an OBM really does, when you actually need one, and how to create a working relationship that moves the business forward instead of creating more confusion. And we're really excited, to talk to Sarah and this topic, especially because we're talking about something that many entrepreneurs hit sooner or later. The moment when your business grows beyond what you can manage alone. And it's always important and to ask for help. My gosh. Anyway, let's start off. If Sarah, you could share with our listeners, what exactly is an OBM?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for that introduction. So what is an OBM, an online business manager? It is a partner that you hire in your business to help create structure, like you had mentioned, from some of the chaos that naturally happens when a visionary entrepreneur is building their business by the seat of their pants. So an OBM is usually called on the scene when the business owner has a proven business model that's rocking and rolling. They are making money. They are wanting to scale. They also understand that things that they're doing are delegatable. So the idea is that when an entrepreneur realizes their zone of genius, they then see that a lot of the stuff they're doing, the rigmarole of the day-to-day, isn't necessarily something that they need to do themselves. And they might not necessarily be a great team leader, aka want to go out and hire, want to train and onboard somebody. So an OBM comes in, guns a-blazing, ready to create an operational blueprint to get that business from chaos to order so that they can continue scaling. And as you can imagine, as an entrepreneur, all of us here probably listening as well, everybody's business is different. And every entrepreneur is very different. And so when an OBM comes on the scene, we're taking all of that into consideration. And that's why the role really hinges on leadership, as you pointed out.
So I think that a lot of us are familiar with VAs, virtual assistants. So an OBM is different than a VA. How so?
It's a great question. I like to look at the virtual assistant as like an industry these days because it's been around for so long. And I believe that every business needs a virtual assistant. I have two, even sometimes three or four on my team doing various things. You always need an implementer. You need people who really love getting it done. Okay. I also like getting things like, many of the clients that I work with, they would rather sit and play in their CRM, their customer relationship management tool, than maybe go out and sell the program or whatever. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that there are people who really enjoy implementing and doing. And then the OBM is a little bit different because while there is a level of implementing, we're more focused on the strategic planning, the streamlining the operations, creating standard operating procedures, creating sort of a blueprint so that that business can continue to grow in the best way possible. So there are some big key differences. I would also say that a virtual assistant is probably easier to onboard, because maybe you've got some social media to schedule, some graphics to create. Where an OBM would probably equate more to like hiring somebody in like a 9 to 5 kind of way, even though we are also contractors. Because there's all, learning the funnel, learning the person's business, learning how they behave, being a partner. So there's a lot that I do in my work as an OBM trainer to help sort of bridge the gap. And that's why I'm
Mm.
really excited to chat with you today about, the things that entrepreneurs can get in shape in their business in order to be prepared, to hire any team member, let alone a VA or an OBM.
And well, I love what you said about creating a blueprint. And I think this ties in perfectly with the one thing that we have found that a lot of entrepreneurs don't do. I mean, like you said, they know when they need to get social
Yeah.
media scheduled, they know when they need to have a newsletter sent out. And I think that a lot of times, I think they also at times misconstrue an OBM and a VA.
Hmm.
And, then there's this frustration with, did I hire the wrong person? Did I hire too early? Things like that. But the real question is the founder hasn't defined what done looks like.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is if I have a project, what is the end result? What does that look like?
Mm.
And it was interesting because a client of ours was saying that she was a little frustrated because I think it was a newsletter and it was having it scheduled and sent out a certain way, and but she never defined the piece of it that said this has to go out at, I think it was like 3 o'clock on a Thursday. That is when it goes out. That's a simple piece of information of what done looks like so that it doesn't roll in at 2:55 to be proofed, scheduled, all those sorts of little. And that's
Mm.
just one very small,
Yeah,
more
one small
more
thing that has a trickle effect on the
exactly.
clients, on the owners,
Exactly.
CEOs,
Exactly.
trust in
Exactly.
the vision
Exactly.
that the team holds. Yes.
Right. And I would definitely think that an OBM would be able to really ask the right questions, I think, to get those types of answers. So
Yeah.
ultimately, there's communication, and that ultimately everybody is happy. I guess the question I have is um, in your experience, is the is it really a is if there's a problem, is it with the team or is it the deeper communication expectations, and what is
Mm.
your experience with that?
Oh, the chicken or the egg,
I
Wendy. You're
love
asking really tough
it.
questions here.
Sorry.
Well, first of all, I love the whole aspect of done, and it kind of like really tickles my fancy because the fact that you
Hmm.
are aware of that, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't think, what is my standard definition of what does success, like you said, what does done to
Yes,
me? It's like, what does success look like? I was
exactly,
like, done. I
exactly.
like that. I'm gonna put that in my back pocket. And one of the most important things I say to any OBM starting with a client is like, you really need to understand the big picture vision, the goals of the business in order to create standardized operating procedures, to
Mm.
make decisions on behalf, because oh, whoops, the client never told us when they want that newsletter to go out. Hey, let me just think about things. We usually send out newsletters. Oh, I don't want to put it too close. Hey, client, I've made the executive decision to send the email out at this time because nothing said. How does that work? So
Hmm.
we're trying to be proactive. Okay. So you had
Hmm.
mentioned, what kind of blows up this whole beautifully orchestrated affair. Well, it's not, I don't think it's like one thing or the other. I think that everybody has a part in it. And I think the first
Hmm.
90 days working between an
Mm.
OBM and a client are very formative. You
Yeah.
have to really learn the client's personality, how they like things done. With all due respect in my heart and my soul, we lovingly call clients sometimes successful despite themselves internally in our OBM
Mm.
community, because I will tell you the most successful entrepreneurs that I've worked with, they don't care about team. They don't care about the cadence around team meetings. They're okay if an SOP is outdated. They probably don't even have any SOPs.
Mm-hmm.
They've probably never logged into their project management tool. And that is the challenge that many OBMs face, is that
Mm-hmm.
they can't get buy-in from their client because their client perhaps doesn't really see how, when you have strong foundational operations and everybody's on the same page, then you can go and you can do that event, or you can do that launch, with not a big lead up time. So I think that when it comes to team, there needs to be somebody there that's leading the charge on, are people looking at SOPs? Are people marking their tasks off in the project management tool? Has this project been done to our standardized way of that we've
Mm-hmm.
defined?
Mm-hmm.
And if that hasn't been defined, then has the OBM proactively gone and asked or come up with what that measure of success looks like themselves? KPIs, right? Key
Mm-hmm.
performance indicators, like how are things doing? So much in business at this micro scale of many of the entrepreneurs I deal with, I'm saying like 2 million and less in gross annual revenue. Many of them are just flying by the seat of their pants. They're
Mm-hmm.
having a grand old time. They're not thinking about what are the KPIs. They're like, oh, emotionally, this launch feels heavy, or the moon
Mm-hmm.
is in X waxing or waning. So
Sure.
they're getting their information from emotional things instead of like straight up facts. And since I've been training OBMs for like literally 15 years, I've noticed a very keen distinction between the personality of a very visionary entrepreneur and like an OBM that acts as a container, trying to hold the madness inside, in with all the
Right.
love, with respect. But there's a visionary madness that really fuels the entrepreneur that the OBM, I'm a very behind the scenes person. Yes, I have OBM school and I have a business, but I started off behind the scenes. Like I'm a very
Mm-hmm.
much like, you can't see me right now, but I'm in my pajamas. I've just got a throw shirt on top and, business up top, party down below kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. No,
So
totally get that. And it's so interesting. I started many, many, many moons ago, and I worked for a nonprofit,
oh
and
yeah.
or yeah, it was an association, and there was a CEO who you have absolutely described. He was incredibly
Huh.
visionary and
Visionary.
incredibly, he just, but he had a number two. He had
Yeah.
that chief operator, the COO,
Hmm.
who made stuff happen.
Yeah.
It was she was the implementer, not him.
Hmm.
And I
Right.
always remember, starting when I was like 22 years old, the importance of this kind of dynamic. So I think that's actually what an OBM is what we used to know as like a COO, just kind of
Yes.
in a
They call it
different world.
DOO, integrator. There's a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
synonymity there. Yeah.
So what I think is so interesting is, let's flip it around. How do you evaluate,
Oh.
how would you evaluate a client that for this type of a successful relationship? What do you need
Hmm.
from a CEO, a visionary to make this work?
Oh, I love these questions. You're just chock full of good questions, because these are all the things that people need to know, honestly, Wendy,
Right,
that people don't
exactly.
ask. So, what are the qualities that I'm looking for in a client? First of all, that they can delegate. And this might
Mm.
come across to some of you as very strange. You would think that someone who's working beyond their capacity would be able to understand that if I want to continue to scale, I best learn how to delegate. And I can't tell you how many calls I've got on with founders who are in over their head. Like the one that stands out true in my mind was this marketing agency. The guy really needed an OBM, has maxed his capacity, was about to go to a conference where he knew he was going to have to onboard at least 10 new
Hmm.
clients, and was like,
Hmm.
well, he's like questioning me. Well, I'm not so sure if, they're going to be able to do what I do. And
Hmm.
we spent the whole discovery call like talking about his mindset around delegation, and I immediately knew that this was a red flag for me. But I also like love connecting with entrepreneurs. I was like, look, nobody's perfect, but I said to him straight up, and like, as long as you continue to believe that you're the only one and this has to be done 100%, no 80 or 75% ain't gonna work, you're gonna be, burnt the F out, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that was what I told him. So first is like, you got to be able to delegate. The other thing that I look for, and I tell this to all my students, like I niche on personality. I get bored very easily. I think that there can be a conflict of interest if you have too many of the same clients as an OBM. Like, let's say you're working with real estate agents, in DC.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's not, could be a conflict of interest. So there
Oh,
are
yeah.
times
Yeah.
when people
Mhm.
niche too hard. And so I've always been of the flavor, and because I also match make my students with clients. So now it's
Mhm.
even less relevant for me, but
Mhm.
and I like talking to random people, random entrepreneurs, but I just find that personality and it's not that you need to go and like chill out and have a beer with this person, but there needs to be like some kind of like
Mhm.
respect, and I think that
Mhm.
when I teach students inside of OBM school, that respect comes from taking it slow, creating a plan, setting up the stage for success in those first 90 days to get the foundation squared away. So the mistake I see a lot of OBMs make with their clients is they get caught up in their client's bright shiny object, visionary mumbo jumbo, and instead of being like, I was hired to put systems in place and team cadence in place and organization in place so that we can now focus on marketing and launches and stuff like that. Instead, they kind of fall into that marketing role a little bit prematurely because the
Mm.
client is like their hair is on fire and they've got to launch this thing, they've got to make their money, and then the OBM gets like, because we are heart of service people, kind of get roped into because of the boundaries and expectations that have not been set. So it's it's a feeling. I feel
Yeah.
like very intuitively. Also, when I match my OBMs, I match them intuitively on personality as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's, it's a fine art if I do say so myself.
Yeah, definitely. And possibly not always easy.
No, no. And
Yeah.
it's not always successful too. Like, I mean, I've had not bad matches, but, matches that exactly what I described happens. And then the OBM is not following the plan, not getting the
Yeah.
done things done, not getting the deliverables met, but they're feeling a little bit miffed because they're also in the weeds doing the marketing and creating the pages and getting all carried away with the client's neuroses. We are all neurotic
Mhm.
entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
are.
I'm raising my
That was
hand.
a definitive yes, Wendy.
Yes. No,
Hell yes.
well, it's very, very true. And I know that some mornings I wake up and I'm like, hey, no one does it better than me, which
Yes,
is
exactly.
garbage. And
But the night before you went to sleep crying in your pillow because you're like, I said, it's highs
well,
and
but it's
lows.
yeah.
And,
Or you
and
wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like,
yeah,
whoa.
I
Yeah. So
I also think because like it's so easy to become an entrepreneur these days, like you
mm,
also have people that are there's no acumen there for business sense,
very
and people are lacking in emotional intelligence, period. End of story,
um
generally speaking. So one of the things I tell my OBMs is like, you have to be the most empathetic. I mean, we are because we're heart of service, but like don't get discouraged, lead with your heart, lead with openness and kindness, but be
sure.
empathetic to your
Yeah.
clients' neuroses and their
Yeah.
inability to make decisions, or if they're asking where your time has gone, it's because they genuinely don't know how OBMs are spending their time. It's not like a personal attack. So I feel like there's a lot of personal
Hmm.
things we bring to the table as entrepreneurs that screw it up for
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. And it's so interesting you said the word kindness, because one of the things that we do when we work with clients is we do the via character strengths assessment,
Hmm.
and kindness needs to be at the top. Not
And
doesn't
it's
have to be
not.
the top. It's not
Yeah,
my
but it's
top.
got to be there.
It has to be there because I think kindness to a large extent measures empathy.
Yes,
Yeah, and that's
definitely.
incredibly important. Yeah, and I mean, how and I can imagine that this is difficult, but how does an OBM help translate this vision into execution?
Hmm. That is the
Because
magic of
well, I was
the
gonna say,
magic of that's the magic of the framework behind OBM school, because
oh,
over
okay,
time, I've just
uh-huh,
noticed that there's a lot of the same.
yeah,
No SOPs, no cadence of meetings. Operational systems are not documented or could be further like optimized and automated.
Hmm.
Who needs to be hired, from a task delegation, who needs to be doing what. So these are all the things that we really look at the beginning, because it's so funny. A lot of the templates in an OBM school are things that like, and I'm joking, and this is sort of just between us and all your podcast listeners, but I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, like, I know that like this is an action plan template, but like most of the clients are like this. There's no
Hmm.
project management tool.
Right,
They
right,
don't know what their VA is doing. They have a big cycle of onboarding and offboarding VAs because the VAs don't know what they're doing.
right.
So a lot of it is like really the same story. I mean, obviously everyone has their own nuances and every
Sure.
business model is a little bit different and the operations look a little bit different, but the core problems are always the same. The clients met their max. There's no more time left in the day. And also, if it's a client that has time in the day, they should be bootstrapping their stuff. They should be OBMing in their business. It's only when they reach the point where they recognize that, oh my God, I don't have time to manage the team
Right,
or that launch or the day-to-day operations, that they bring in an
right.
OBM. And by then, things are moving and shaking. We're capturing systems that exist. We're not reinventing the wheel. Are they perfect? Are they beautiful? No, because nothing is perfect and beautiful in business. It's all solutions to more and more problems.
And the thing which just popped into my head is the value of an OBM in this AI world.
Oh, I
But
absolutely think,
I
and
would.
even as we speak, Wendy, because at the time that this goes live, ChatGPT might be alive and well, but in the last couple weeks, I feel like ChatGPT has caused more confusion and need for OBMs than
Yeah,
and VAs than the opposite. So all of these, it's just like the whole SaaS world. It's IT kind of hinging on more IT and more. Now we've added AI SaaS into that, and it's like all of these
yeah,
800 million tech stack things, and how do I use this? And let me just spend 3 days, brainstorming with ChatGPT when you could have got it done already. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I love AI, and,
Oh, sure.
we're always, as we speak, we're working on some AI tools for our OBM community to help it make it
Hmm.
easier for us to work with clients.
And the key thing is, I would think that the OBM provides that emotional intelligence that no matter how much I love, and whether it's ChatGPT or Claude, no matter how much I love, it doesn't necessarily have that. And as a founder, a CEO, I may be a little too close to the the fire.
Exactly.
That
Can't
yeah,
see the label from inside the bottle. It's my favorite
yeah,
expression. So it's like,
yeah,
it's almost like more of the same. Like if you're some visionary, unhinged entrepreneur and you get your hands on some, I don't know, Claude or AI, Chat GPT, whatever, you could be spinning wildly out of control in AI. I mean, that's not going to help you sort out your operations if you don't really know and you can't stay the course to finish things,
yes, yeah,
which is usually the problem that a lot of people in life have. They're great starters, not such great finishers, not such great follow through decision makers. Yes.
the arrow is
Visionary
pointing.
entrepreneur. Yes. Such
Yeah,
as yourself, Wendy.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
there's no
am.
shame in that. You can't be everything to everybody. And I've recognized that some of my like behind the scenes kind of methodological, problem solving things
Hmm.
have made me an exceptional OBM. And and that's what I tell people. I'm like, I can come do the certification. I'll teach you the hard skills up and down, but the soft skills and
Hmm.
the actual leadership and the emotional intelligence we've been talking about and the empathy and the organization and the follow through, that's what makes you a winning OBM, not that you're amazing at ClickUp. Like we're not software developers. Like I hope you're not working with a software developing
I
startup, okay?
no, no,
Like
no,
we're working with clients that are like
yeah,
rinse and
yeah,
repeat recurring tasks all the time.
yeah. And I had it wasn't even a love hate relationship with ClickUp. It was more of a hate.
Yeah, I know.
but,
Yeah, I didn't go for that. I didn't go for
but
ClickUp either.
yeah,
Although ClickUp works phenomenally with Claude. So I am
oh,
revisiting things, and I'm never say never, but I'm like,
okay.
some of the things I've been seeing in the last couple of weeks with Claude and ClickUp and the integrations and the things that you can do. Again, to an OBM, like implementing some of these AI things that we're using to help clients with their operations is phenomenal, but a client can't necessarily do that. just
Correct.
because
Yeah.
they're like limited in they'd rather be having their vision and going down some rabbit hole.
Right.
And that's where they need to be because that's what
Yes.
fuels the growth of their business.
Right.
So it's all good.
Yeah. No, and it's actually really, I think, to some extent, an exciting time where we're
Yes.
taking away some of the more
Mundane.
oh, that's exactly what I was going to say, the mundane tasks, and replacing it with a much higher level of thinking that is really has the ability to absolutely supercharge our businesses. And really, almost like in a split second, I think about what used to take me, it's going to take me a week to put together all my social
Right.
media stuff. Yeah, no, come on. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
doesn't mean I
It
remember to
might still take you a
schedule it.
week because you'll be like, oh, I'll just use AI. And then you wait a week and do it anyways in a week, you know?
Yeah.
I
And
definitely feel like it's going to make
yeah,
things more
yeah,
streamlined. And I mean,
yes.
I love it. We do ongoing workshops inside of our communities all the time
Hmm.
because AI is constantly changing. And I think it's one of the most wonderful things for OBMs to use
Yeah,
because we can use it to create SOPs. I can use it to create like a racy chart for how I want to delegate things in my client's business and things that would be so boring AF for the client to like,
right.
they're not using AI for that. They're like buying an enterprise account for some new AI tool they'll wait a month to use, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Or it actually never gets implemented because
Right.
there's no time to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they forgot they bought it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even better, it's not that they bought it, they're paying for it monthly.
Right. So they're not
And they
even
don't
they're,
think about it till they pop, wait, did I
I
not?
can't tell you how many clients my
Yeah.
my students work with, and just by doing like an expense audit and looking at all of their subscriptions, save them almost the amount of the starting OBM retainer every month. You know, it's crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I'm intrigued and would like to hear more about this OBM school.
Yes. Yes. So the OBM school was founded, I think about 5 or 6 years ago. So I've been training online business managers for about 15 years. I got into this back when I was scaling my own agency. And at that point,
Hmm.
you know, living where I live, I was able to hire employees to work alongside me. So I hired all of these wonderful, young millennials to work. Never, I mean, this was like almost 20 years ago, never touched the OBM world. Like even people say to me now, what's an OBM? I'm like, you should have
Yeah.
asked that question 15 years ago. Okay, we're still asking these questions. But I started to train people in my own agency. And then
Hmm.
I had, you know how the online space works. People started coming to me and I started to train people. And then I started creating courses because what I found was I couldn't take on any more clients. So I created courses like Team Growth Formula to help my clients get their SOPs in place, figure out the team cadence, like all the things I teach that to me are
Right.
so easy to implement, but for visionary entrepreneurs are the opposite, right?
Right.
And so I just sort of naturally fell into training and then later trained. I just trained for many, many years. And then OBM school was kind of the house that took it all. And I was like, okay, now it's time. Because again, I'm like the visionary entrepreneur that operates backwards. I had a lot of done for you type clients working with OBMs for years, scaling agencies, having babies, had 3 babies. In that time, my eldest is now 12. And so during that time, I was just able to build this beautiful life for myself. And so about 4 or 5 years ago, it made sense to start to build a bigger community. And that's what OBM School became. And we're about 400 accredited OBMs and strong. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and it's a quite a fierce community. We are deeply respected and respectful of each other, and I'm really proud of what I've built. I didn't set out to be, I am not a visionary entrepreneur. So when I like I think of us more of a collective where we all kind of
Hmm.
share and bring, like for example, we were speaking about AI. Like I have this incredible woman, Rachel, an accredited OBM. She's coming in to work to be alongside me doing this AI workshop
Hmm.
because I don't presume to be like I'm the know all be all. Like I love
Right.
tech. I'm not an AI expert. I mean, I know just like when I learned HTML, it was just enough to delete a cPanel, you know?
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been there, done that,
Yeah.
okay? Not fun.
Um, so, and then when someone graduates, then you work with placement.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So when people go through our accreditation, we've got a couple programs inside of the OBM school. One is more of like a beginners build a business proof of concept for people who aren't so sure that OBM is their thing. You know, they're
Hmm.
maybe just thinking about leaving their corporate job, or maybe they're making a VA, kind of making the transition, which is quite popular. And then we have
Hmm.
our Kit and Caboodle certification program. It's the 6 month high touch, client simulation with projects and feedback.
Hmm.
And then when they complete their projects, they become accredited. They've completed their certification, and then they go into our alumni community where, yes, we have a directory, we do matchmaking, we have ongoing workshops, we have networking for our alumni, because we're all very behind the scenes loners, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, we're not the most sociable
We
people,
all live in our
maybe.
own
Yeah,
silos.
like I just kind of want to be
Yeah.
home. Sometimes my husband's like, "You haven't left the house in like 2 weeks." I was like, "But I'm talking to people on Zoom all the time.
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
walking the dog. I'm going to yoga. Like I'm okay. Everything's good."
Yeah, so I think this is and also I'm intrigued about this. One of the things that was a hot button for me for a while had to do with the fact that a lot of people were unemployed, or and still unemployed and becoming unemployed. And
Yes.
I would think that especially people with project management experience and this sounds
Yes,
like an
Wendy.
absolute incredible
Dream,
fit to
like
fit.
myself. Yes. Like
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
found this, I was just, I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist in today's age. I grew up with a stay-at-home mom. My mom was home when I
Me
came
too.
home for
Yep.
lunch.
Mhm.
I felt like I'm such a confident human being because I grew up with my mom who was always there. And I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make
Yeah.
this for my kids as well.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I've done that. I've done
Yeah.
that. So I'm just like elated. I'm just like, I'm going to share this with the world. So I think it was kind of, realizing that I don't want to keep this to myself. This can be really helpful. There are a lot of men and women that are losing their jobs, getting
Yes.
made redundant, fed
Mm-hmm.
up, and
Yeah.
they're the ones who are becoming OBMs. And funny enough, the clients are also looking for OBMs with corporate experience because
Yes.
we're so
Yeah.
grateful and happy to be at home in our pajamas that we
Yeah.
go the extra mile to make our clients
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
what
the
I think.
ability. Well, one of the things that, Serendipitous Rebel, we scream at the highest mountain about is, it's joy under your own effing terms.
Oh, I
And
love that.
whatever ultimately, and it's not just happy, it's joy. And, being able to work within whatever personal situation you have and want to work within, you know staying home with your kids is
Yeah.
an amazing opportunity. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but I mean, I commuted into Washington D.C. every day for 20 years.
Wow.
And I know I missed out on, the kids every now and then will ask me a question like, well, when did I do this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
let me go back, and I'm sure I have a picture of it. So let me
Yeah.
find it.
Well,
But,
mama guilt is going to be there,
exactly.
even
No
if
matter,
we
yeah,
might
no
just
matter.
not remember because we just don't remember, and then they're
Well,
going to get us on
there
that.
is that. There is that whole
Yeah.
not remembering. But yeah, it's just, I love the fact that we're at a point, especially for women, where we have opportunities.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of maybe having a little
Having the
gum.
confidence to
Yes.
recognize in yourself. And
Yes.
that's why communities
Yes.
like BM School are the bomb, because I can't tell you honestly, Wendy, it's ridiculous, but the women that mostly women that I speak to who are so perfect for this job. It can be like an
Mhm.
executive assistant who's been like, I've been managing the budgets, right hand to the CEO, budgets of $3 million and events. And
Right.
you think I
Right.
can be an OBM? And I'm just like, I almost want to reach through my screen and like,
Yes.
wake the F up,
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
serious? Like,
Yeah.
so and it's those OBMs that are the best, but
Mhm.
unfortunately really lack the confidence in themselves. And
Mhm.
I mean, I can understand that because I also sort of started, even when I was started off as an OBM, I had sold a landscaping company when my husband and I
Mm.
left Toronto, and I still couldn't connect the transferable skills for myself. And so I know
Yes.
it's really hard to see the label from inside the bottle. I don't, you know, I'm not saying like I came guns a-blazing and knew my worth from the get-go. No, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even start off as an OBM. I just started off as some like catch-all, I would call it. I wouldn't
Mm.
even necessarily calling myself a VA, but I was like, I just need to make this work. And what I realized over time is that eventually I did learn to position myself as an OBM and recognize my worth. It took me 3 years, but when I started to position myself effectively, I started landing a higher caliber client. I started making more money, started
Mm-hmm.
feeling more satisfied with what
Mm-hmm.
I was doing because the clients were aligned. So it's a journey that I really like. We're very open and it's a very inviting environment to that's why we simulate the client experience so that people can be like, oh, I really do know how to do this, or oh, yeah, here are the templates. And people will say to me, you know, I used our project templates with the client. Like
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just a wonderful thing for the right person who wants to make this work and wants a container for accountability and some ass kicking.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And don't we all need that?
Yeah,
Uh,
a loving
yeah,
ass,
exactly.
but nonetheless.
So I want to just clarify, or not clarify, but just to reinforce that what do you see, again, the signs a business has reached the point where they really need operational leadership, where they really
Yes.
need an OBM? I definitely want to drill that in for our
Hmm.
listeners who are probably
Hmm.
sitting there thinking, my hair's on fire.
Yes.
My desk is a
Yes.
mess, and I don't have time to do what it is that I want to
Well,
do.
if you're feeling like that and
Yeah,
you're like, should I hire? Then you've probably waited too long.
too
So
long.
also the really nice thing about speaking with an OBM is that, you know, if you're better off hiring a VA, they're going to
Hmm.
tell you that because an OBM doesn't want to be on retainer with somebody who can't
Right,
afford to pay them long term. It makes no sense for either party.
right.
So, you know, can a an OBM can a client who's making, I don't know, low six figures or even $3,000 to $4,000 a month benefit from speaking with an OBM and having, you know, an operational blueprint, some kind of service of
Hmm.
that sort set up? Absolutely, it's going to be beneficial. Um, it doesn't mean that you need to keep someone on long term. So the wonderful thing about working
Hmm.
with an OBM is that we work on retainer, but we also do project based stuff. Maybe you need an automation setup.
Oh,
Maybe you need a launch
right.
managed. Maybe you need some structure and some consulting in that regard.
Hmm.
Um, so a good OBM and one who's accredited in OBM school will take you through a
Yes.
process that helps to assess. But you know, there's no harm in contacting or looking at our directory. There's also no harm in speaking with somebody and future pacing. So a lot of the times I'll have like strategic planning sessions with clients and I'm like, I know you're not ready to hire an OBM.
Hmm.
Let me suggest some SOPs to put in place, a description of a VA to hire to get this going. Because, you know, every business needs a VA. Like that's always been
Hmm.
my philosophy. Someone to,
Hmm.
you know, implement and do that kind of work. And then once you've reached this X, Y, and Z point, then come back to me and we'll talk. And it happens. They come back. I did what you said. Here's where I'm at. Let's do
Hmm.
it. So it's, you know, it's a partnership. It's a long going thing. It can look very different for different businesses and different clients and all
Yeah,
that good stuff.
and
But
I would think that in general, it's just like there's so many moving pieces,
yeah,
and there's a sense of feeling overwhelmed, and that
yeah, and
projects are not getting off the plate; they're stalled.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
welcome to my
Shit's
world.
not getting done.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
know what? Heads up, the client's usually the bottleneck, you know, and that's usually the problem. And so it's like, that's why
exactly.
I love what you were saying, and I want to repeat it back again, but that whole what does done look like
Hmm.
and that idea that clients are very visionary and they don't always know how to follow those steps. I think just having somebody that can be there to be that container and help,
Hmm.
it looks
Yes.
so different. So if you're feeling like maybe this could work for me, like there's no harm in reaching out, checking out our directory, getting in touch with
Hmm.
me. I can, you know, I match make OBMs every week, all the time.
Hmm.
So it's something that I really love doing. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can really benefit from having that peace of mind. Because I'm like, how do you go to sleep at night without a project management tool? Like, how you go on vacation also? without,
Well,
somebody that can man the fort.
yeah. I mean, like, I'm really lucky. I
Yeah,
have a business partner.
right.
So if we don't do things together, we can do things separately. But yeah, we're definitely unique in that regard.
Yes,
Um,
I'd say so.
and yeah, and just the idea of being the visionary and not having to really be um I was going to say the
The operator,
executioner.
the
Yeah, the
operator.
operator, the executor. Um,
Yes.
and also going from chaos to actually having clarity and
Yeah.
going from being reactive to actually being able to lead. Oh gosh, that just sounds so
I mean,
fantastic.
it's really great on paper, but
Yeah.
it's not like a wham bam. It's a process. The first 90, I tell anybody looking for an OBM, also be prepared to, have some moments where you probably doubt bringing on that OBM or it feels really hard, but you have to put the work in to have the smooth freedom of systems and organization. It's hard, it's
Right.
like when I was a landscaper, I'd go like door to door with my flyer back in 2007, and I would be like selling services door to door. And you'd get into some of these people's houses, and I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same with business. You get
Yeah.
into some of the back ends of people's businesses, and you're like, oh my God, like how have you been living like this? Like so awful to say, but there's a better way. There's a better, you don't have to
Yes.
live like this. You
Yeah,
can
exactly. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I just want to like, hi, we're there for you. Like,
Yeah.
we'll be the yin to your yang, kind of thing.
You mean an entire business does not exist on a post-it note or something? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am definitely going to, in the show notes, we'll include how to get in touch with you and all
Yeah,
that
definitely.
information. And I just wanted to ask one final question.
Yeah.
If every CEO listening today learned one operational skill that would make their business easier to run, what would it be?
Oh my God, it's like rolling off my tongue as we
Oh,
speak. It would
good.
be setting up standard operating procedures in
Okay.
their
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And that is also the little freebie that I have for your community is my
Oh,
SOP
fantastic.
template.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So if
fantastic.
you go to
Yeah.
obmschool.com/rebel, you guys can download the same SOP template that I use with my clients, that I teach to my
Perfect.
students. And friends, it's not brain surgery and it's not that complicated, but it does involve, sitting down maybe with a chat GPT, setting a 15-minute timer, and then literally vomiting. Like sometimes I will literally do a screencast and I'll just
Uh-huh.
screencast a process, take the SOP template, take my screencasted transcript or even the video, depending on
Mm-hmm.
how ChatGPT is acting that day. Will it read the video? Will it see the video?
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask it to create a system. And I think that the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs these days is we want things to look pretty and perfect. And so this becomes this procrastination nation where they don't finish the SOP because they're not happy with the actual system itself. And so I always encourage people, like,
Uh,
just for the love of all things, capture the system as is. Okay, let's
right.
capture every system as it is, and then we will go bit by bit, streamlining, figuring out who needs to be doing what in an orderly fashion. So, the best thing that you can do for yourself is look
Mm-hmm.
at, and I think this is part of that download also, but it's kind of looking at what recurs in your business, what happens daily, weekly, monthly, more
Right.
than once
Right.
a year, and let's
Right.
capture that into a system. And so that when you are ready to hire a team or when you are ready to bring on an OBM, you will get
Mm-hmm.
brownie points. The team member will know what they need to do. They will know more of what done looks like in the
Exactly.
entrepreneur's book, right? Like we were
Exactly.
full circle
Exactly.
what we were talking about at the beginning, but I
Exactly.
feel like
Exactly. Yeah.
systems and capturing things and all of their, glory is really where it's at. And then you can kind of like see how things fit together, see how automations play into things. What prerequisites does the VA or OBM or any team member
Mm-hmm.
need before they carry out this task? What does success look like? What are the
Exactly.
KPIs attached to this? I mean, you could go completely off, sometimes
Sure.
one of this, it's funny, you'll appreciate this. An OBM I'm working with now, she actually got criticized from her client because they said her SOPs were too corporate-y. It's like,
Oh,
I was like, they might be too
wow.
corporate-y for that client, but I was like, for me, they're amazing. I was
Yeah.
like, I so appreciate this. But, again, different strokes for different folks. So you
Sure.
can
Sure.
adapt it,
Yeah.
and then you can have some standardized way of wanting things to get done. So that is a really awesome SOP toolkit over at obmschool.com/rebel that we've organized for you guys. And I think that any founder or any CEO is really going to appreciate the simplicity
Yes.
of it and the ability to like literally create a foundation in their business, because you can't go on vacations without systems. I mean, they're already systems, but
Right.
without
Right. No,
documented systems. Yeah.
right. Unless you expect to shut down
Yeah.
but that's not how the world is anymore.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I think
Wendy, thanks for having
this
me.
has been just really a fabulous conversation and a really intriguing look at a world that a lot of founders really don't understand.
Or care to
Yes.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
get it.
and now we get it more,
Yes.
or at
Yes.
least
Well,
we
I
know
think things are getting
to
more complicated. There's more
yeah.
IT, there's more AI
Yes.
IT,
Yes.
or as my mother calls it, IA.
Oh,
She's
okay.
like, Sarah, what's that IA? I was like, the AI, mom.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, I like IA better.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, and again, I will leave all of your information in the show notes and also the link as well to the download. And thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Wendy. It's been
And
such a pleasure. It's been
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And hey, everybody, we'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.